Alright, what we're going to do is look at a function like this. F of x equals x squared minus 4x minus 12. And I want to show you the relationship between the function and its graph. Remember, if you create a t-table and you plot this parabola, you get this graph over here, right? You can find the vertex using the vertex formula, right? Minus the opposite of b over 2a and then put it in. So that's how I got the 2 minus 16. But how do we get the 6, 0 and the negative 2, 0? So how do we get the, let me pick my pencil here, how do we get this x-intercept and this x-intercept, right? Because that's the value when y is 0 in both cases. So if we let this y equal 0, we get this equation now. Now it's an equation, we're supposed to solve this. Now there's three ways to do that. The first way, what I'm going to look at, is solve by factoring. So if I can factor, I try to. That's number one. The second way I'm going to look at it is by completing the square. That's the kind of a tough way to do it, but it leads into the quadratic formula. Now remember, the quadratic formula will solve any quadratic. That's the name of it, quadratic formula. So it solves any quadratic. Quadratic is degree 2. So you give me anything with x squared and I can put all those values in there and solve it. So the relationship, what we're looking for, is when f of x or y is 0, and that's the x-intercepts of a parabola. Okay? They are called zeros of the function because they produce zeros. So let's look at an example here. I changed it to 0, right? Solve using a factor technique. So that's the same as this equation. So if it said solve this equation, it's just an equation, find the two answers and make this equal to 0. Let's do that by factoring. It's a trinomial, therefore it must factor into two binomials. Alright, x, and then what two numbers multiply to negative 12 that add up to negative 4? Well, we have 6 and 2, I think will do that. 6 and 2, they have to add up to negative 4, so negative 6 and positive 2. Now we're using the zero product theorem, right? It says this times this equals 0. So either the x plus 2 is a 0 or the x minus 6 is a 0, right? Now what x creates that 0? Well, x equal to negative 2, I just solved it, and x equal to positive 6. I just solved this one right there. So if I put 2 up here, let's see that. 2 squared minus 4 times 2 minus 12 equals 0, does it? 4 minus 8 minus 12, what happened? Oh, it was a negative 2. Alright, we're going to have to cut that out and redo with a negative 2. So that was a negative 2, and that's a negative 2, so that makes a positive 8. So 4 plus 8 is 12 minus 12, and now we get 0. So if I put the right number in there, we actually make it to 0. Now if I do the same thing with 6, you should get 0. I'll leave that to you since I made a mistake. Alright, that's the factoring technique. I was just checking my answers, but the answers are negative 2 and 6. Now I'll go back up to my parabola. Look at that. If this is the function and you set it equal to 0, my x value negative 2 produces 0, and my x value 6 produces 0. Those are the x-intercepts of this function. Alright? That's the factoring technique. Let's look at completing the square. Same function, but complete the square. Remember, we only complete the square on these two. So x squared minus 4x equal to 12. I added a 12 to both sides here. Okay, then I'm going to take half of this guy. So let's see if I can switch a color to maybe the green. I'll take negative 4, divide it by 2, and add it to both sides. Square it and add it to both sides. So half of this squared. So half of negative 4 is negative 2. Squared is a 4. I'm going to add a 4, add a 4. Okay. Now let's continue. X squared minus 4x plus 4 equals 16. Now the reason why we added this 4 is so that we could complete the square into this right here. Now right here is what's going to go right here. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. That's why I wrote that. It's what number multiplies itself to get the 4, what number adds itself to get the negative 4. Alright, then what we're going to do is square root both sides. So I square root this side, and when I square root this one, a plus or a minus. It's a plus and minus. Alright, so I get x minus 2 equals plus or minus 4. Almost done to the answer. Add a 2 on both sides. 2 plus or minus 4. So 2 plus 4 is my 6. 2 minus 4 is my negative 2. And that's getting the same two answers, but by completing the square. That's a lot more work, right? I would probably factor this problem, then complete the square. But that's how you complete the square. Now, the quadratic formula is the last thing. So the quadratic formula will solve this equation, and it will solve any quadratic equation. I just got to put the numbers in. So here I have it set equal to 0 again, my a, my b, and my c. So a is 1, b is a negative 4, and c is a negative 12. You got to take the signs with them, and then we fill in the numbers. The answers are x equal the opposite of b, so 4 plus or minus the square root of negative 4 squared, like that always, minus 4ac. Okay, all over 2a. Alright, now you have to multiply this all out, but look at it, it says this minus this product, but if I use the negative when I'm multiplying it turns into a plus, so we better put a plus then. Okay, so 4 plus or minus the square root of 16, and this is negative times negative is positive, 48, all over 2. Continue on. So we have 4 plus or minus, oops, that's a 4. Sometimes when I write too close it connects that. 4 plus or minus 16 plus 48, square root of 64, all over 2. Okay, well, square root of 64 is 8, so I just got to keep going. 4 plus or minus 8 all over 2. Okay, and then my two answers are 4 plus 8 over 2 and 4 minus 8 over 2. So x equals 4 plus 8 over 2. 12 over 2 is 6. X equals 4 minus 8 over 2. Negative 4 over 2 is negative 2. Again, my two answers using the quadratic formula. So kind of the moral of the story is you can use any method to solve a quadratic equation, and it depends on how it's set up. This problem is set up to use factoring just because it's two numbers that multiply this and add up to that. Easy, negative 2 and 6. But you could use any method to try to start, and the quadratic formula always works. So the quadratic formula always works. Completing the square will always work. It's just sometimes challenging, but factoring won't always work. But what you're doing when you're solving these things is you're finding the x-intercepts of a parabola that's in this function form. But when it's just like this, you are just finding what numbers make it equal to 0, and it depends on if you have any meaning or not. Well, hope that helps.